चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our morning glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from Canto 1, The Creation, Chapter 18, Parīkṣit cursed by a Brahmana boy, and we are up to verse 20. Prabhu, can we please have a verse on the screen?
You are on mute, I think.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. My apologies. So we are reading from Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 18. Mahārāja Parīkṣit cursed by a Brahmana boy, and we are up to verse 20. Prabhu, can we please have a verse on the screen? Verse 20. एतावतालं ननु सूचितेन गुणेरसाम्यानतिशायनस्य हित्वेतरान् प्रार्थयतो विभूति यस्याङ्घ्रिरेणुं जुषतेन भीप्सुः। एतावतालं ननु सूचितेन गुणेरसाम्यानतिशायनस्य हित्वेतरान् प्रार्थयतो विभूति यस्याङ्घ्रिरेणुं जुषतेन भीप्सुः। Synonyms: etavata, so far; alam, unnecessary; nanu, if at all; suchitena, by description; gunehi, by attributes; asamya, immeasurable; anati shavanasya, of one who is unexcelled; hitva, living; aside, others; living aside; itaran, others; prathavyataha, of those who ask for; vibhutihi, favor of goddess of fortune; yasya, one whose; angrihi, feet; renu, dust; jushate, serves; anabhipsoho, one who is unwilling. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is now ascertained that He, the personality of Godhead, is unlimited, and there is no one equal to Him. Consequently, no one can speak to Him adequately. Great demigods cannot obtain the favor of goddess of fortune even by prayers. But the very goddess renders service unto the Lord, although He is unwilling to have such service. Would anyone like to read the purport, please?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Godhead, or the Parmeshwar Parabrahman, according to the Shrutis, has nothing to do. He has no equal, nor does anyone excel him. He has unlimited potencies, and his every action is carried out systematically in his natural and perfect ways. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in himself, and he has nothing to accept from anyone else, including the great demigods like Brahma. Others ask for the favor of the goddess of fortune, and despite such prayers, she declines to award such favors, but still she renders service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he has nothing to accept from her. The Personality of Godhead in his Garbhodakshai Vishnu features begets Brahma, the first created person in the material world, from his navel lotus stem, and not in the womb of the goddess of fortune, who is eternally engaged in his service. These are some of the instances of his complete independence and perfection. That he has nothing to do does not mean that he is impersonal. He is transcendently so full of inconceivable potencies that simply by his willing everything is done without physical or personal endeavor. He is called, therefore, Yogeshwara, or the Lord of all mystic powers. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So, just establishing the connection with the previous verses and the chapter. So in this chapter, so far we have seen that Sutta Goswami is describing Maharaj Parīkṣit's birth, his consciousness, his surrender, his death, and because of his powerful ruling, Kali could not flourish during his kingdom. So this is up to verse 9. Then sages of Naimisharanya, actually from verse 11, they start to speak, and they say that they're in order for the welfare of the people of in this age of Kali, they have performed fire sacrifice, but it remained ineffective. Instead, their bodies have become black due to the smoke of the fire sacrifice. So that shows that in age of Kali, fire sacrifice or ritualistic sacrifice does not produce so much of results. But at the same time, they also say that they saw that Kali's ineffectiveness on the devotees and on Harikatha. And then onwards, the beautiful series of verses continues in this chapter. So that is beginning from verse 11. Verse 13, beautiful verse, describes the power of association and Harikatha and the Harikatha. Then in verse 15, the quality of a speaker, listener, and the subject matter srimadbhagavatam is glorified. Then Parīkṣit Mahārāja, after hearing all the topics of Lord, attained the lotus feet of the Lord. And so hence the sages of Naimisharanya asked that please describe them to us. And in verse 17, it is said that there is no satiation in hearing about the topics of Lord because they are param, they are supreme, they are punya, they are purifying, they are ati adbhuta, that means they are wonderful, and yogi nishtam, that means they are full of bhakti. And in response to those comments from sages of Naimisharanya, Sutta Goswami starts speaking from verse 18. So, and basically he starts speaking as in he starts glorifying Lord Krishna. So in verse 18, Sutta Goswami first talks about himself, that he is born of a low class, but regardless of one's birth and a caste, if one comes in the association of a devotee, of a pure devotee, then without delay, he gets cleaned from all disqualifications of low birth, and only by conversing them he is actually he's actually able to speak about Krishna. Then in verse 19, he continues to glorify the Lord, and he says that what to speak of those who chant the name of the Lord, who is unlimited, who is the shelter of all great devotees, who has unlimited powers, who is unlimited because he has unlimited qualities of the devotees. So basically, the verse 19 says that the Krishna is unlimited. And then verse 20, actually, the translation begins that now it is ascertained that he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is unlimited and there is no one equal to him. And then Srila Prabhupada shows the supremacy of the Lord. He mentions that the great demigods cannot obtain the favor of Lakshmi Devi. Even and that Lakshmi Devi renders the service to Vishnu with the desire of receiving all those unlimited qualities in full. She serves the lotus feet of the Lord, who has no material desire. So this brings us to the point that God is unlimited and all good qualities comes from him. Now, God is unlimited, and when I was preparing for the class and I was doing a research, so many references come glorifying the God is unlimited, and that is my realization. It is so apt to the verse that the verse is God unlimited, and then when you try and search about his glories, so many references. If one endeavor to just reference, the entire class will go in just referencing them. So that's how the glories of the Lord. That's how the glories of the Lord. That's how he is unlimited. And in amongst, because there were so many, I can only speak so much. I picked a verse from Srīmad Bhāgavatam, which is very beautiful verse, which is very similar to the verse that we are currently discussing. It comes in Canto 10, and it is basically a prayer offered by Lord Brahma after stealing the cows and the boys of Vrindavan. So the verse goes like that. Gunatmane pi gunam vimatum hitavatena shakaisharesha kalena yarva vimita sukalpe bhumpashavakhe mihikadayubhas. Translation of the verse goes like this. That in the time, learned philosopher or scientist might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of the snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the star, or other luminaries. But among these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental dualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of the living entities? So the verse says that God has unlimited. So it is basically giving a context or a reference with the material creation that a scientist or a learned philosopher may try to count the atoms on the earth, and maybe they became may they become successful also, but it is impossible to count the unlimited transcendental qualities of the Lord. So in the scripture, it comes time and again that it is impossible to glorify the Lord. It is impossible to measure the glorification of the Lord and his quality in entirety, because he is unlimited and he can't be measured, he can't be counted. So we also have to note here that the speaker of these verses, so the verse that we are reading, this verse, verse 20 in this chapter, the speaker is Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami, he heard his Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami himself when it was first spoken. And then he was instructed by Lord Balram himself to speak about the topics of Krishna. So he is not an ordinary speaker. Then the verse that I have just referred is from Canto 10, is actually prayer by Lord Brahma. He is the secondary creator of the material universe. So they are not ordinary speaker. They are actually empowered personalities by Lord who had ability, but despite of their abilities, they cannot glorify the Lord completely. And that reminds me of another verse that actually states that although Lord Anantadev, who is always describing the pastime of the Lord, with his thousands of mouths, he cannot reach to even one of the Lord pastime. So this Lord Anantasesha is Lord Balram himself. And this verse comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is like Sahasravadane kaha apne ananta tabu eka lilara tenu nahi paya anta. That although Lord Ananta is always describing the glories of the Lord with his thousands of hoods and mouth, he cannot reach to the end of Lord's pastime. So Lord is unlimited in this way. Another point in the translation is that even Lakshmi Devi, with the desire of receiving all good qualities in full, she serves the lotus feet of the Lord. What that means, that all good qualities come from him only. And in the purport of the verse SB 10.14.7, actually Srila Prabhupada mentions that Sanatana Goswami explains Lord Krishna as Gunatma. That means he is the soul of the all superior qualities. And that means that all good qualities come into life when they are exhibited by Krishna. I repeat the sentence, all good qualities come into life when they are exhibited by Krishna. So Krishna descends in this material world, reestablishes the religious principle by exhibiting all these godly qualities, and then inspire all the people of the world to take on these qualities. Also, as a Lord Chaitanya, we can see that he demonstrates how to become a devotee of Krishna. He also demonstrates that all good qualities also teaches us, and as an aspiring devotee of Krishna, how we should act. So it comes in a nectar of devotion. The chapter is Quality of Krishna. I think chapter, sorry, I don't remember the chapter name. Chapter 21 and 22. That when a pure devotee actually develops this quality, they become the right candidate to go back to home, back to Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada actually asking us through this Krishna conscious movement to intentionally develop these qualities. Our scriptures describe that by chanting Hare Krishna mantra and by undertaking devotional service, we automatically develop this quality. Cheto darpana marjanam happens. But we also, at the same time, when we practice our spiritual practices, we see anarthas in our heart. And we also need to sincerely pray for the Lord's mercy to uproot them. Another point that Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport, that the Lord is independent and he works through his energy. Lord is independent, and he actually gives an example that Lord Brahma actually begets from his navel. So in material conception of life, in order to produce a progeny, a union of a male and female needs to happen. But that doesn't apply to Krishna. That doesn't apply to Lord. That doesn't apply to Vishnu. He just begot Lord Brahma from the navel of his from the lotus that is actually sprouting from his navel. So Krishna is independent that way because he works magically through his energies. But he also says that because he works magically through his energy, he doesn't need anyone. That doesn't mean he is impersonal. He, at the same time, he feels and he reciprocates. And Srila Sanatana Goswami, in the same context, says that God manifests these specific spiritual qualities to actually benefit the living entity. Since there are innumerable living entities in the entire creation, material creation I'm referring to, the Lord manifests infinite qualities. Thus, every conditioned soul can appreciate the Supreme Lord in a particular way. So if we just meditate and think about it, that is such a sweetest thing to do. This shows the personal aspect of Krishna, that he says in Bhagavad Gita that, okay, mama vamsha jiva loke jiva bhuna sanatana, that we are all part and parcel. So that is the generic statement that he makes. But it's not only statement, he actually acts and behaves also that way. That when he manifests himself in innumerable expansion or innumerable when he exhibits actually innumerable, infinite qualities, the intention is that we as a living entity, and not as human, it is beyond human, we can connect to him. And this shows that he is personal. He wants to have a relationship with each one of us. And because we are individual in this material world, and we remain individual even after so many lifetimes, in spiritual world also, when we go, whenever that happens, we will have a different mode of serving. So our heart can be won by different things, and Krishna actually exhibits this by his unlimited qualities. Just to give the material example in this context, there is a book called 5 Love Languages. I think Jai Shetty also refers to this book in his talks, which basically talks about how different people give and receive love in a different ways, and if in whichever relationship one is, basically should identify the person's love language and give them a love in a way that they can appreciate it. So that basically improves the relationship. So the point I'm trying to make is also that we all have different ways that we feel love towards Krishna. Krishna understands that, and he actually demonstrates by all these different qualities to attract all of us individually according to our conditioning. So that shows that he loves us. And this is so beautiful if we just, as I said, if we just meditate on this. And as I said, this is not only human. He appears in a different avatars like Matsya and Kurma and Buddha, and so many avatars and so many expansion that he can attract all different species of life. Regarding the verse that where Anantasesha could not count the glories of the Lord, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Lord Sankarsana has actually, counted the number of the atoms on the earth, and even the molecule in the entire universe. But even such personalities such as Shankarshan, who could not count. So Lord Sank, it is not a hypothesis that one cannot count the molecule on the earth. There has been a practical effort. This is the commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And he could count the atoms and molecules, but he could not glorify Krishna enough. And this means it is impossible. This means that world is finite, but Krishna's glories are not. They are infinite. So how, and if we just think and introspect on this point, that how wonderful it is that how wonderful Krishna is, and how that our spiritual life is never boring. If we think that in my spiritual life I have practiced of these many years, or I have read all the scriptures, or I understand everything, but then actually shows that I've read the scriptures, I have understood everything, but then Krishna is unlimited. So actually the situation is other way. The more we try to learn and understand Krishna, the more we realize that we know nothing. What we know in entirety, it is just the tip of the iceberg. Radhanath Swami actually in one of his lectures says that so the reference was Vidura was going to pilgrimage, and he mentions that as we make a spiritual advancement, we relish the pastime of the Lord more and more. We go deeper into the pastime more and more. And as we go deeper and deeper, it becomes more subtle. Many times it happens that, when we hear a pastime or when we hear a katha, that, oh, I know that, and I don't need to hear it again. But that is the sign that we are not advanced yet. someone who, Radhanath Swami explains that this in the class, that someone who is advanced, who can hear the pastime over and over again, and at very high stage, they meditate and enter into the pastime. And then we know about the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He exhibited this. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila from verses 90 to 96 describes this. So basically, it was Srivasa Pandit who was performing the Shraddha ceremony of his father. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually appeared on the scene, and he also, during the Shraddha ceremony, they were actually reciting the 1,000 names of Vishnu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu happened to be there. He presented actually on the scene, and when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the name of Lord Narasimha, he actually became angry. He got angry in a mood. His eyes became red. His bodily hair stood on the head. His bodily parts trembled. So he actually basically demonstrated Astasatvika Bhav, and he made a thundering sound. All of a sudden, he took the club, and people there became actually, people who were presented for the Shraddha ceremony, they become actually afraid. And they thought, oh, we don't know what kind of offense we made. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adjusted his thought, and then he came back to the proper consciousness. Another example, many of you might have heard this, that it's about Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada and Yamuna Devi, Prabhupada's disciple, she actually narrating this pastime, that it was a time in London when Srila Prabhupada was leading a kirtan, and all of not Srila Prabhupada, sorry, Yamuna Devi was leading a kirtan, and all of a sudden Prabhupada's voice actually cut through the auditorium with the potency of Lord Narasimha. And right in the middle of Yamuna Devi chanting, actually Prabhupada started chanting Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina Radhika Ramana Name. And then he again and again repeated. Yamuna Devi looks at Prabhupada, and he looked down at him, trying to signal him to carry on her kirtan. So she actually continues to chant. But as she was singing to chant, Prabhupada continued to sing the Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina bhajan. She didn't know what's happening. She was just following Prabhupada's instruction. And then in a moment, actually, everyone in the hall, they were jumping on the ground, they were leaping in the air, and the audience was actually, there was so much ecstasy in the environment. And the next morning, she asked Prabhupada, what happened last night? And Prabhupada, in response to say that, didn't you see? Narad Muni came to our kirtan. And Yamuna Devi answers, no, I didn't see him. And then Prabhupada said, yes, Narad Muni came. So basically, when the devotees meditate onto the pastime of the Lord so much, they go into the deep lila of so much that they can actually enter the pastime. And we are close to 7 o'clock. There is so much that can be said on this topic, but I would just try to conclude it. That how fortunate we are that we are in this Srila Prabhupada's moment, because most of us here I'm talking about the people on the Zoom call, that they have moved from Australia, and the intention of moving to Australia is not to join the Krishna conscious movement. I am taking the liberty of speaking as generally, but of course there could be other intentions also. Generally, the intention is to grow become materially perspective. But somehow Krishna's arrangement, devotees came into our lives, and they inspired us. And by their mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, by our Guru's mercy, we took up this movement sincerely. So imagine if Srila Prabhupada had never left Vrindavan, what chances we would have learning and knowing about Krishna. Imagine Srila Prabhupada had not written Srimad Bhagavatam, what chances, or not written Srimad Bhagavatam, or what chances we would have to learn or even endeavor to learn about this such a high topics. Otherwise, what is our qualification? Srila Prabhupada in one of the conversation actually says that, you have no qualification. I gave you the qualification. And which is true, because understanding Krishna, his unlimited potencies, his inconceivable pastime, it is beyond or I can speak for myself, it is beyond my ability to understand and to comprehend. But with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and with the mercy of devotees, we get the opportunity to share this transcendental knowledge. So I'm sorry, we are 2 minutes over. I would stop here. If anyone has any comment or correction or suggestion, please feel free to unmute and share. Okay, we conclude our session here. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May all you have a very nice Krishna conscious day. Krishna willing, we'll see you again tomorrow morning in Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
No, Mataji, thank you very much. Thank you. Very nice class. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji.